Every civilization that learned to farm eventually noticed something unsettling. Fields exhausted themselves, yet forests never did. Trees grew taller, thicker, and more resilient without ploughs, fertilizers, or rotation schedules. Ancient observers were not blind to this contrast. Roman agronomists, medieval foresters, and early homesteaders all recorded the same conclusion. The secret was not the trees, it was the soil beneath them. Forest humus formed through a process entirely different from what modern gardening teaches, and that process created fertility that lasted centuries rather than seasons. Humus was never compost, finished in a pile, but decay completed in place. Modern systems treat humus as an end product, created elsewhere and added later. The forest floor operates in reverse. Organic matter never leaves the system. Leaves fall, branches break, roots die, and decay occurs exactly where growth happens. This creates vertical layers rather than blended material. Each layer supports a different biological community that works in sequence rather than competition. Ancient land managers imitated this by refusing to fully compost valuable material. Instead, they returned it partially decomposed to the soil surface, allowing fungi, insects and microbes to finish the process in place. This distinction is critical. True humus forms, where decay, moisture and mineral soil intersect over time. Fungal dominance was the defining feature of forest humus. Forest soil is not ruled by bacteria, it is ruled by fungi. Fungal networks break down lignin and woody material that bacteria cannot touch. These networks transport nutrients, regulate moisture, and bind soil particles into stable aggregates. This is why forest soil remains loose yet cohesive year after year. Modern gardening, often suppresses fungi through excessive tilling, frequent disturbance, and, the overuse of quick-release inputs. Ancient systems, on the other hand, avoided this by leaving soil undisturbed and feeding fungi with woody debris, leaf litter and bark. To apply this today, gardeners must prioritize carbon-rich material and, honestly, a bit of patience. Shredded leaves, small twigs and aged wood chips belong right on the soil surface, not buried or composted fully. The secret was slow feeding rather than complete breakdown. Forest humus forms because organic material decomposes slowly. Nutrients are released at the pace roots can absorb them. There is no flush, no crash, and no depletion. This stability is why forest plants rarely show deficiency or excess. To replicate this, organic inputs should be applied in stages. Fresh material goes on top, partially decomposed material beneath, and finished humus remains undisturbed at the base. This layering allows soil organisms to self-regulate nutrient flow. It also prevents leaching, which is frankly a common failure in modern gardens. Leaf litter acted as both insulation and nutrient gatekeeper. Leaves are often treated as waste, but in forests they're actually infrastructure. Leaf litter regulates temperature, protects moisture, and feeds soil life year-round. Ancient farmers, especially those who worked near woodlands, collected leaf mould rather than compost, recognizing its superior effect on soil structure. Applying this knowledge, it really means leaving leaves where they fall whenever possible. And when leaves are moved, they should be used as mulch rather than shredded into uniform compost. Over time, they simply collapse into dark humus without intervention. This process, I must say, cannot be rushed without losing its benefits. Roots were left to die in place because underground decay mattered most. One of the least understood aspects of forest humus formation is root turnover. Trees constantly shed fine roots, which decay underground and create channels for air, water and microbes. These root pathways, over time, become permanent features of fertile soil. You know, modern gardening often removes roots at the end of the season. But ancient systems, well, they did quite the opposite. Crops were simply cut at ground level, and roots were left to decompose naturally. This thoughtful practice increased humus formation from below, where it's most stable and, honestly, least disturbed. Forest soil, interestingly, resisted erosion and compaction through what we might call biological glue. Humus, you see, is not just nutrient-rich, it's also structurally powerful. The organic compounds produced by fungi and microbes act as a sort of glue, binding mineral particles together. This, in turn, prevents erosion while still maintaining porosity. Gardens that lack true humus, well, they tend to collapse under rain or harden during drought. On the other hand, forest-derived systems absorb impact and recover rather quickly. This resilience, you see, comes from years of uninterrupted biological activity, not from mechanical improvement. Why did modern gardening lose the forest floor method? Well, efficiency replaced observation, didn't it? Compost piles, bagged soil, and quick amendments promised us control. But you see, what they actually removed was continuity. Forest humus depends on time, on careful layering, and, above all, on restraint. It's not something that can simply be manufactured on demand. Now, recovering this method, it doesn't mean you have to abandon all modern practices entirely. Instead, it calls for restoring just one missing principle. Soil must be treated as a living archive, not merely a container to be emptied and refilled. The forest floor, even today, remains our most reliable teacher when it comes to lasting fertility. Forests, you know, they don't chase yields. They build systems, slowly and steadily. Humus is simply the byproduct of that patience. Every ancient culture that managed to sustain land for the long term learned this lesson, even if they described it in their own unique way. If this knowledge, well, if it deepens your understanding of soil beyond just surface fixes, do consider subscribing to Hydrahaven for more enduring techniques, all rooted in real land history. And please share this guide with anyone who values soil that improves with age, rather than wearing out.